Okay, so basically what this does is it makes it so that anyone who has a link can click on it and then later view it. And so then this way we can share the recording with Diane. So hello Diane. Later. Anyway. Um, so we're discussing study questions for eDocs, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So the first question is, why is CRV interested in eDocs?
Well, if I remember right, the one guy who's been talking with them has been like assigned specifically, right, to start working with them, kind of like that industry of
Um,
online technology. I'm trying to pull up the case real quick to see how they said it,
yeah.
but I think they understood. It was definitely where things were shifting. It was a good idea, good opportunity, good time.
Yeah. So if I remember right, he had experience in this like field, and he was looking for something that was found in this area. I just barely finished reading the case, so
Ditto.
I actually found it a little bit hard with all the new terminology. Like it's hard for
Oh
me to
yeah.
remember like all the words in terms of the.
Got my headphones. Yeah, it was a little tricky. Yeah, I barely finished it. I did fall asleep once in the middle of it, but luckily my wife woke me up, so I finished it.
Yeah, I
Okay,
felt like CRV was interested in eDocs. Sorry. Just obviously they could see that it was on a rise, that type of internet business. That's kind of what I got from it. And that guy did have some sort of experience working with it, or working with that kind of business, like with billing and what was the other part? Billing and
design, document design, or something like that.
Yeah,
yeah.
e-commerce or no, it was
So
oh,
Are we talking about Gerster?
yeah.
Yeah, I think he had e-commerce software and services experience.
on page
Yeah.
7, when it says some stuff about this, this is right under the heading CRV on build for business. It says Jonathan Gerster had joined Charles River as an associate in late 1997 with an explicit mandate to invest in e-commerce related businesses.
Mm.
Even though he had only been at Charles River for several months, he knew that internet build presentment was a tremendous market opportunity.
So basically, when he joined the company he worked for, that was his assignment.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what is it about eDocs that makes them want to go after eDocs instead of some other opportunity?
Well, I remember that in the case, it mentioned something about how by the time they were looking for financing, they already had their first version complete, and so they knew what they were doing, and they already had significant progress made. Also, I remember reading about how they had a competitive advantage over two of their other major competitors because their competitors were service based,
Yeah.
um, and having a product that they could issue to companies made it so that there wouldn't have to be an intermediary that consumers wouldn't trust because those intermediaries would do data mining. I don't know about you guys, but I like to do searches in the case to try to look for specific things that I read.
So since they already have this product ready, I'm wondering what they need the venture capitalists for anyway.
Well, I'm sure that in the case it mentioned how the venture capitalist firms have large networks and also experience in running a business. So while they do have their first product, they need relationships and contacts that will help them to distribute this product and sell it to to the market, um, and the VCs help them do that quite a bit.
That makes sense. So basically, they needed them to help them distribute to their consumers and stuff. It kind of made me think about Shark Tank with like how Mark Cuban's always like, "Look, you take it now. I don't want you to hear any of the other offers." But I thought that was pretty intense how they presented it.
Yeah, that was intense.
In some of my business classes, we talk about this, and they say, like, if anyone comes to you with that type of offer, never take it.
Yeah.
That's what they said. They said there's no reason to take it. They said if they won't give you a few days to think it over, then it's not worth it to work with them.
'Cause, I mean, it's like it's saying that I know you can find a better offer, so I don't want you to look.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you were to look too closely at the deal, you would see that it's rigged in our favor.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to decipher all of those terms, but it seems like they wouldn't have, even though the EDOCs would retain majority ownership, it doesn't seem like they'd have majority control in the boardroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems a little bit similar to the Jim Sharp case, where the owner's like, "Hey, let me talk to my employees."
So, anything else on question 1?
I can't think of anything.
No.
Okay. Question 2: what percentage of the company is CRV buying for their $4 million investment?
I needed to look more into that.
Me too.
I thought if they're going to have a post money valuation of 10.5 million, I came up with 38% is
Now,
what they're.
how is the calculation done on that?
Well, the post money would be the pre-money plus the assumption of the company or the assumption of the worth of the company plus the money equals the post money. So if they're putting in 4 million to 10.5 million value,
Mm-hmm.
38%.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's the money that they put in divided by the post money.
Right.
Valuation.
So it'd be 4 million divided by 10.5, which gives us 38.09%.
39 point what?
38.09.
3.09%.
Or 0.95, so it'd be 38.1%. Unless there's something tricky in the language of those terms that I don't quite understand. But as far as the splitting of stocks,
Well, that's what I kind of wonder because, like, 2 million is from CRV, but then the other 2 million would be from,
Some
whoever
other
they bring
investor.
in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So would you consider like all 38%,
Well,
being?
I guess you could just divide that in two. So they're buying 19.05%
Which
with the
seems kind of
option
low.
with the
Well,
option of
one of the things that it said in the case is that they were able to kind of leverage their own power by using their own funds and their family's funds to start the company and get it to the point that their first version of the product is ready. Um, and then that made it so that VCs have less leverage to ask for ownership in the company because they've already got their first product done.
Hmm, that makes sense. So would it be 19% then if they have 2 million in and then split that 38?
yeah, I think they'd have 19.05% is what their 2 million is worth, and then they're guaranteeing that they'll find another investor to match that, or they'll pick up that balance, and then they'll own 38.0 or 38.1%.
Hmm.
That's that's how I read it. On page 19, it shows the amount in securities of 4 million at $1 a share.
Yeah, that looks correct to me.
Their post money value is 10.5 million. Where did I see that on page? Um, on the bottom of page 8 says the terms of the deal call for CRV to invest 2 million, and for CRV to find a second venture capital firm to invest another 2 million investment with a $10.5 million post money valuation. Founders would receive 5 million shares, and then 1.5 million shares would be set aside for employee stock. So that comes up to 10.5 million shares, all valued at $1.
Hmm.
Do you guys know how this works as far as what that post money valuation actually means? Is that's making it so that CRV has a legal right to receive that much money in the future if the company goes well, or no matter what, or
No, it's just a valuation of the
What the
company.
company's worth.
Yeah.
Like in
With
Shark
the
Tank, they're like, oh, we want this much percent. They're like, oh, you want that much percent? That means you're saying that your company is worth $10 million? They always kind of say that.
gotcha. Okay.
So as I read a little further in that paragraph on page 8, it says that um, if they're not able to find, if no other venture firm is willing to co-invest, CRV would invest the additional 2 million, but would get additional warrants for investing the entire amount. So if they invest the entire amount, I think they're getting more than,
Yeah.
and I need to find where it says what those warrants are and the terms.
Oh, did it explain what those extra warrants were?
There was something in the terms about the extra warrants.
extra warrants.
There's some other stuff too at the bottom. It's like, in the event of a founder is terminated by the incoming CEO, a committee consisting of the remaining founders and one representative from Charles River Ventures will determine whether some portion of that founder's uninvested equity should be accelerated. It's like all these like little things that I don't know that much about, but it doesn't sound that good to me.
Are we talking about like for question 3?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Okay.
Yeah, what you were talking about, Kenzie, is in the last.
Yeah, it's in the very last paragraph.
Yeah. Well, as far as just starting off talking about this, what to focus on, there's like price, and then there's like the terms. So I think they're okay with the amount of equity that they're giving away because it's actually fairly low, like Blake was saying. So then I think if there's any terms that are gonna like take away their power, like or limit the kinds of decisions that they can make, they definitely need to look at that.
Okay, so on page 22 is where it talks about the warrants. In that letter, second paragraph of the letter, it says, if at the end of that period no such additional investor has committed to the financing, we will receive a grant of 500,000 warrants, exercisable at 10 cents per share, duration for 3 years for common shares, and close on a $2 million round. So I guess what I'm seeing here is that they're building into it that that they'll end up with not just the 4 million shares, but 4.5 million, and that 500,000 will only cost them $50,000 worth.
Is this the second paragraph on page 3?
On page 22,
Oh, the letter.
yeah, the letter. And I think I don't know, if I were in Gerster's shoes, I wouldn't be very motivated to find a second investor when I could buy another 2 million shares for $2 million and then buy 500,000 shares for $50,000. I'm getting a pretty good break there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'd sit on my hands for 45 days.
Well, if I understand right, CRV is going to be looking for the other investors.
Right, and Gerster as a representative of CRV, what's his motivation not to ensure a discounted rate for 500,000 shares?
Yeah. Got
Yeah,
it.
that's kind of weird because it doesn't really make sense. It's like saying, we'll look for another investor. If we don't find one, then we're going to get 500,000 warrants. You would think should be like more of a penalty type thing. I don't really get that. So is that just because they would put in that extra 2 million themselves?
Right. So they're kind of writing it like, if we have to, we'll guarantee that you get the full financing. We'd rather split that with another investor. But if we have to, because we're having to put out that other money and we're not intending to, then will give us another 500,000 shares at a dime a piece. I don't know. It seems like they're providing for themselves a reward for coming through in the end, and it's just hard to tell if their initial plan is even to find another investor or just to cost average. They're 4.5 million shares. Be 4,050,000 divided by 5. So they do that, and all of a sudden, all of their shares they've paid 90 cents for.
Wow.
But they're all worth $1. So they're immediately giving themselves a profit.
Yeah.
I'd say that's the term to focus on, is that there should be, I don't know, they should keep the playing field level. That's if I understand warrants correctly. I think that's another type of stock that falls in a different class than preferred A or preferred stock. But I think it's still a share of stock.
One thing that I remember reading is that something that would provide it wasn't explained in these terms, but something I can see that would provide an incentive for ERV to get another investor is that with another institution putting up money, they're going to also provide their contacts and their experience, and that's going to help ensure EDOC's success.
Yeah.
But yeah, the playing field level.
One thing that's kind of interesting about that too is how they don't want them to go find any other deals, but they're saying that, oh, we'll go find another investor to come in for the $2 million. So it's almost like also in their favor because they're going to go find someone and make those terms and agreements for that extra $2 million.
Uh-huh.
I'm reading about stock warrants. I just looked up some information about it. And I don't know, it just seems like they're actually not as bad as I think we think they are. It says a stock warrant is a smart way to own shares of a company because a warrant usually is offered at a price lower than that of a stock option. So there's something there. The longest term for an option is 2 to 3 years, while a stock warrant can last up to 15 years. So maybe there might be something in that way where they have it so that they're getting it for a longer period of time, is what I'm thinking maybe. Because it being offered at a lower price maybe isn't bad, but it might be the fact that they're going to have it for a longer amount of time or how it's written in the contract. But I'm not sure. I'm just learning about them.
On the other side of that, if you're a member of the founders and it's kind of a way of diluting the stock. All of a sudden, there's 500,000 more shares, and that makes my stock worth less.
Mm-hmm.
Because the company isn't worth any more just because we've added stocks. It's still worth 10.5 million, but now it's divided over
more people.
Over 11 million shares.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the deal. I would want an attorney to look over it, and I think
absolutely, that's exactly what I'd say.
I think, as Kenzie said, if anybody offers you a deal that they don't want you to shop around, there's a reason. They know that you can do better.
Yeah, if you have a good deal and you say, you know what, go somewhere else. If you can find a better deal, that's fine with me. If you can say that, then you, I feel like that's a better thing to say because you know you have the best deal, or that you're offering the best. But if you're
Right.
too afraid to, and you're telling them not to, then something's shady.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, it does seem deceptive.
in the term sheet, I read that the CRV would get preferred stock that would be convertible to common stock. Is that a significant advantage that they're giving themselves?
Maybe.
Um,
I didn't hear the question.
So the stock that CRV is getting will be preferred stock that's convertible. They can convert it to common stock later if they want. Is that a significant advantage that we should look at?
Preferred stock in the event of a liquidation, preferred stock would be paid before common stock.
Uh-huh.
So you've got preferred and preferred A. It's just different tiers. And if there's a liquidation, if the company goes belly up, the creditors get paid first, and then
Mm-hmm.
going through the investors, your preferred A, preferred B, preferred stock, and common stock is the last one to get paid. So
Uh,
the stock that you and I buy in a 401k plan that's common stock, um, we're the sucker. You know, we're the last one to get paid if things go belly up.
Interesting. I think that would be something, I guess, if they can convert it. Well, you said it went from preferred stock to what was it, or from common to preferred, or what were the two options?
well, they would be given preferred convertible stock. So they would receive preferred stock that they can convert later to common stock if they want to.
Hmm.
Where was that?
Um, that's that's on page 20.
Under which heading?
Um, well, it's in negative covenants
Okay.
and also refusal.
I don't know what normal like policy for these sorts of things are, but it would
Well,
kind of stink the fact that eDocs has to pay all the legal and administrative cost for the financing.
Uh huh.
But I
I,
mean, maybe that's the norm.
I think what they're saying in the negative covenants is that if uh, if the if the founders choose to make any purchases that would be considered debt that would be payable before preferred stock, that they're limited to 250 for a single expenditure, where it says
Uh,
ownership of any security by incurring debt senior to Series A preferred stock. So they're saying uh, before you can incur any debt that would be payable uh, before our stock, you have to have that approval to go above 250 for a single expenditure or 500,000 in a 12-month period. So they're just saying that you can't incur debt that's going to lessen the value of our stock.
gotcha.
All right. Well,
Hmm.
I submitted mine, so.
Oh. Sounds good. I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch the videos about this one.
I think I think another term that's interesting, the right of first refusal. The investors have the right, based on their percentage equity ownership of preferred stock, to participate in subsequent equity financing, but the shareholders of common equivalent, if they want to sell them, they have to give CRV the option to buy them first.
Whoa. What was that?
Under the right of first refusal, right below the negative covenants. So they can't sell their stock to anyone, just anyone. They have to give CRV the option to buy it first.
You know, that's huge, because that's essentially giving them power over future stock.
So does that mean that they couldn't go out and find like another investor?
That's right.
Huh.
Their only source of financing can be CRV, unless CRV passes on it, doesn't want to buy that other stock, then they can take it to the open market. It doesn't look like a great deal. There's even provisions for how to get rid of founders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I can understand, I guess, if the founder was doing really bad and making the company look terrible. Sometimes you have to.
Yeah, I think another thing to consider is that the founder's shares are only vested at 25% upon closing. So I guess they're really getting 25 cents on the dollar at signing, and then it says that they're with the remainder vesting linearly over a 36-month period. So that's gaining 25% a year. So essentially, they can come in and fire all the founders, and I don't know, they wouldn't be vested at that point.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I don't know. There seems to be a fly in the ointment.
Because basically that's saying after they signed the deal, I mean, they couldn't really sell any of their stocks because they don't own 75% of it. But then I guess after like 3 years, then it would finally fully vest and they would have the option.
Right, but any time that they wanted to sell previous to that 3 years, they would have to sell to preferred A holders, and the value of their stock, say they don't like what's going on, or CRV is not possible to work with. Even at the end of 12 months, say they stick it out for a year, they're going to get 50 cents on the dollar, and the only person they can sell it to is CRV.
So it sounds like it's CRV is just putting a lot of little clauses in there to take control if they can.
Yeah, I think the plan is to take them to the cleaners.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That's interesting.
But I'm pretty much a skeptic anyway. Any other thoughts?
I think that's all I got.
No, I'm good.
Right on. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for recording this, Austin.
Yeah, no problem. I'll post
Thank you.
this recording to this on the Hangouts page, and then Diane can get it there, or you guys can look at it if you want.
Okay.
Sounds good.
See you guys on Tuesday.
All right. See ya.
Alright, sounds good. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.